So what I did was I changed the flow chart to be more detailed here. So let's go over this. All right. So round one, if we're starting with the hierarchy, we're going to look at the data loss activity. Now, please remember, this is actually just an example. You do not need to start with the data loss activity. That's just very simply where I find the biggest ammo, because if we go and look at, let me go through my presentation to go find it. If we go and look at the inverted pyramid, we're going to find that the biggest ammo for rounds 1 through 5 are going to be date last active, data last payment, notice of dispute, charge-offs, monthly pays, collections, late and past dues, and then status update and date reported, right? Your backups for rounds 4 and on are going to be balance, payment history, high balance, past due, method of verification, transferred or sold, and then for collections, the limit. And then, of course, we have to have a last resort, open date, type, terms, comments, status details such as pay and account, limit, and account number. All right, you really only want to use this, like I said, as a last resort. So keeping that in mind, this is just an example, date last active. If you want two different resources, you can go to expertcreditsweeps.com/hierarchy or /dispute-reasons for more information on this, okay? So starting with round one, you're going to have a couple different responses, all right? These are like the only responses that you're going to get from them. Verified, no response, I don't understand, the nature of your dispute, or some other stall tactic or scare tactic. And then, of course, you need a tactic to come after them with it, all right? So we really only have a couple of things that they can come back with, right? Once again, verified, corrected, updated information, stuff like that. They don't respond at all, or the response is a stall tactic or a stare tactic, such as, I don't understand, we won't reinvestigate, contact the creditor, we already verified this, we think you're working with a credit repair organization or something like that. So let's go over this one by one. Okay, so with round one, example, starting with date last active, let's say that they come back and say that it's verified. You can now dispute using a new dispute reason going down the hierarchy. So if you're using date last active, remember, we want to go and choose something else, date of last payment, okay? So now we're on date last payment. Let's say that they come back and say that it is verified. Again, on the next one, you're going to go down one more, payment history. Okay, so let's say that all three bureaus are reporting different information, such as Equifax reports that you were late for March of like 5 years ago, but TransUnion reports it was actually April or February. You can use this to remove the entire account. So if you're disputing a charge-off and the information is completely consistent from report to report, the data loss activity, the data loss payment, look at the payment history. The payment history is there for a reason, okay? Everything has to be consistent. Everything has to be the same, okay? Let's go down one more. So the status update or date loss reported, you're going to find this information on Identity IQ. I will put the link to this where you're finding this video, okay? So that's the only site that I have my clients use. Now, when it says verified, go down again, data first delinquency. So that's different than disputing the payment history. When you're disputing the payment history, you're going to find inaccuracies in the payment history itself. Remember, all three bureaus need to report the same dates that you were late, or it needs to be accurate. If they're saying March and it was really supposed to be April and you paid on time for March, you need to tell them and use it to remove the account. Okay, so data first delinquency means the date that you had that very first 30-day late payment. Okay, go all the way back and find that date. Use it and say, I paid on time on this date, delete this account. All right, so let's say that you're disputing and you send out round one and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get this removed. And you find out that it wasn't removed because you pulled a new report and it's still there. And they didn't even reply to you. That's okay. Go to the next dispute reason. So if you started with data loss activity, now you're on data loss payment. Okay. What if they still don't respond? It doesn't matter. It does not matter, because they're only going to come back saying these things that you're seeing in front of you. Okay. Now you're just going to go pull a new report, check, do another analysis, find out new information, what's been deleted, what's been corrected, stuff like that, and you're going to go down to the next one. So remember, you can also challenge. Remember that first video, the free one, the one that you accessed this video on? You need to remember that you have challenges that you can use. So find out what their method of verification was. How the hell did you verify something that I'm proving proving to be completely and totally inaccurate? You can't, dude. You just didn't investigate. It's very simple. Now, if they come back again with absolutely no response, request the proof for independent investigation. All right. So if we go one more over to response contact creditor, you're going to see Cushman versus TransUnion from 1997. Go and get a copy of that. Go and get a copy of it. Every single person that does credit needs to know about very specific lawsuits, okay? You're not going to use this in your letter, but the entire point for this request for independent investigation or independent proof of independent investigation is the fact that Congress states that there must be okay, let me back up a second. Congress states that once you send your dispute letter and they come back and say it's verified and you don't agree with it, that when you dispute again, they have to do an independent investigation where they're not relying specifically and solely on, the creditor or the collector or whoever the hell it is coming back and saying that it's verified. They have to go beyond that source and do their own investigation and figure out if the account or the information is accurate, okay? There is so much more, and I have a whole video on this out of Cushman versus TransUnion, about 6 different paragraphs that you really need to look at because it's going to change the way that you dispute, okay? So the last one is going to be just on this chart right here, notice of dispute, because they are required within 30 days from the date that they first received your letter to put the required notice of dispute. I already said required, my bad. To put the notice of dispute. So FCRA, that would be section 623, and the FDCPA, it's going to be 806B. So that's also why you want to dispute third-party collections sometimes with the collector themselves first, because on letter 3, you're going to prove that they didn't put the required notice of dispute within 30 days from the date that they received the letter, and now they're in violation of 806B and need to remove the account. Okay? I hope you guys are following along with this. The link is going to be in the post that you found this, okay? All right, so now we're going over to stall tactics. Okay, so it's not just stall tactics, it's also scare tactics. So, they're the big angry bureaus and they're in control of your information. They're not there to help you. It's actually a conflict of interest. If you want to see what that means, you can go and check out the playlist on YouTube. It's free on indirect dispute techniques, okay? So they come back and they say, oh, we don't understand the nature of your dispute. TransUnion is notorious for this, especially when you're using factual disputes, because you're not just saying, not mine, wrong creditor, wrong account number, incorrect this or that. You're actually saying, this is wrong, this is what I'm disputing, and this is why I'm disputing it, and this is what I want you to do. It's too much for the computer to handle. So sometimes they're going to come back and say, well, we just don't understand it. And that's because a real person didn't look at your letter, because if they had, they would have understood what you were disputing, and it was the stupid-ass computer that read it and spit out the thing that said what, we don't understand. All right. So your response to this is actually going to be a restatement of what you originally sent. So you can paraphrase if you'd like. You can, so restatement and report. All right. What this means is that, like I said, you can, you're going to send your original letter with your new letter, and you can use a highlighter, although a computer won't be able to pick that up. You can circle it. You can use arrows, and a copy of that, the page from your credit report where the account sits that you're disputing, and you're going to show them this is what is wrong with this account. So you're going to restate your issue, what you want them to do, and show them on the report. The next one is we won't reinvestigate. And Experian is freaking totally and completely notorious for doing this. This is just something that the computer spits out. They don't want to deal with you. Like I said, they're not there to help you. It's a total and complete 100% conflict of interest because they are the ones that are in charge of information. They obtain it, they maintain it, and sell it. So that means they are not there to help you, because when they keep your information inaccurate, it makes them more money because the information is more valuable and more expensive to the creditors. So all of you out there that think that, oh, I'm going to send 1 letter, 2 letters, and they have to remove it. Don't they have to remove it? Who the hell are you to force them to do anything? You are nobody. And please don't take this the wrong way and post some negative comment. You need to look at it the way that it is. You need to look at it for what it is. You are more than likely not going to take the bureaus to court. You are more than likely not going to take the creditors, the collection agencies to court. So how are you going to force them to do anything? I can't even force my children to do something without literally physically picking them up and making them do it. Go clean your room. No, I don't want to. Well, I guess I'm going to have to pick you up, make you walk over there and pick up all your toys. I might as well have just done it myself. I can't force my husband to take out the garbage. I can't force someone to pay me. I can take them to court. I can garnish their wages through the court, but I cannot force them to pay me even when I take them to court. Just as the same as when a creditor sues you, they can't force you to pay them. They have to go to the sheriff's office. They have to garnish your wages if you're not going to pay them, and they have to force you to do it, okay? Force compliance. So it's the same thing. You can't force them to do anything. So when they come back and say, we won't reinvestigate, this is very, very simple. You need to look at the paper where it says, unless you have new and relevant information. Okay, well, guess what? New and relevant information is a new dispute reason because you have not used it before. So you're very simply going to go and choose a new dispute reason because it is new and relevant. So now you're going to data loss payment. If you started with data loss activity, now you're going to data loss payment. If you were at data loss payment, go down to payment history or method of verification or independent investigation or status update date or data first delinquency or notice of dispute. Okay, so you have so much at your disposal. Now, if they come back and say, well, you know what? Guess what? You need to go and contact the creditor. If you go back and look at Cushman versus TransUnion that we've already spoken about from 1997, Congress states that they being the bureaus, cannot just push it off on you contacting the creditors, that they have a, quote, grave responsibility, end quote, to ensure the accuracy of the information reported on your credit report. And therefore, they have the responsibility, they have the burden of making sure that the information is accurate and complete. And if not, it needs to be removed. All right. So if they come back and say, oh, we already verified this, then you need to go after the FCRA requirements. And if you want to understand what that is, go back and look at that first video where you access this one. Okay. So now if we're looking at tactics, around 2 tactics would be Joe the plumber. You have to remember that if you're a company, if you are a consumer, regular consumer, you don't do this for clients, you need to remember that you're a regular person. You're a regular person just as I am, okay? You're a regular person just like the person that, might be working with the bureaus. You need to write it as such, okay? I'm not explaining this to you guys as, well, pursuant to the explaining code of, 2003, you're required to enter round 2 tactic, end quote, and below that, Joe the plumber, end quote, unless you're going to do a whiteboard presentation. And if you don't do, no, dude, it's very simple. The same way that I'm talking to you is the same way that I write my letters. The same way that I'm talking to you is the same way that you need to write your letters. The same way that you fight with your spouses and your children and your teachers and your coworkers and, your neighbor because their freaking dog barks too much or they're too loud or their cat shits in your yard. Whatever the hell it is, that is the way that you're going to write your dispute letters, okay? You are a regular person. You're a regular Joe. You're a regular Jane, and you need to come at them this same way. And yes, that is a tactic. It is a tactic. I don't know how this works. All I know is that you are reporting information on my credit report that I don't understand, okay? I don't understand why it's inaccurate. I don't understand why if the creditor is reporting, one thing, how 3 different organizations that are supposed to have accurate and consistent information is going to be reporting 3 different dates and 3 different years and so on and so forth, okay? Come at them as Joe the plumber, all right? That is a tactic. Another tactic, round 3, squeaky wheel, all right? If you want information on tactics specifically, you can access section 2 of my course, 60 different tactics for disputing. It is $349. I can put a link for that in wherever you found this video, okay? So Round 3 tactic is the squeaky wheel. I will tell you that the squeaky wheel, it should be called the pain in the ass. And I'm going to explain why. Squeaky wheel, what does a wheel do? It just goes over and over and over again, round and 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 round. It never stops, right? Once it starts, it never stops. It is a circle. If you've ever watched, I now pronounce you, what is it? Chuck and Larry or something, where the two firemen marry because of like benefits or something like that, medical insurance, whatever it is. The guy in Canada that marries them explains that that a ring that you put on, you know, the other person's finger is like a it's a circle because it never ends. Okay, so this is the same thing, that you need to be a pain in the ass that never ends, that continues to go over and over and over and over. Okay, well, I sent letter 1, you didn't respond, I'm going to send letter 2. Well, you didn't respond, I'm going to send letter 3, you said it was verified, I'm going to come up with a new dispute reason. Okay, well, now I'm going to dispute with the creditor, and now I'm going to dispute the collector, now I'm going to make CFPB complaints. You get what I'm saying? You need to do everything possible to get your negative items off. That's what people don't understand. This is not where you send one letter. This is not where you send 2 letters. This is where you are continuously and completely coming at them one by one by one by one by one. All right? Round 4 tactic. Creditor, collector did not validate or respond. Okay? So it is not illegal for them to not respond to you. They have to respond to the credit bureaus, but they don't have to respond to you. However, if the bureaus are saying that the creditor or collector verified to them, but you didn't receive anything and you want to see the proof, then you need to tell them, hey, I didn't receive anything, or they didn't respond, or they didn't validate, or whatever. You need to either A, furnish the information that was used to verify this account, or B, remove it. Round 5, CFPB complaint. Okay? So now from video 1, we went over the plugin print. If you want to access this, I will put the purchase link down in the post for this, okay? So what we're going to look at is creating dispute reasons, all right? So I'm going to pull up trusty old Word. And if you remember from video 1, you have your client information, the date, the bureau, opening line that should be no more than 3 to 4 sentences, and then your dispute reasons. And the key to doing this is the dispute reason. And excuse me while I get a sip of my spritzer. Hold on real quick. All right, I am back. And if you can't hear me that well, it's because I had to put my mic down so that I can type. So if you need to turn this up, this would be the time to turn it up. So we're going to look at a couple of ways to attack things going from round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, all right? So let's say that we are disputing a collection. Let's start with a collection first. So I apologize for my keys being loud because my mic is right next to it. So we're going to dispute an unknown collection, count number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So normally I do not put anything between them, but if you're going to, either use a colon or you can use a dash. All right. Or you can very simply go to the next line. But you do want to separate your account and creditor from the reason. Now we can start with dispute collection 1. All right. So we go in. Oops. There we go. All right. So, and yes, I have all of my dispute reasons programmed, and then I go back and enter in the information when I'm doing tutorials or when I'm showing someone or teaching a company or whatever. It makes it much easier and much faster instead of typing out a full dispute reason. So for this one, you don't need to change anything. I don't know what this is. Please remove this unverified account unless you can furnish a signed contract. So that would be your first dispute reason. All right. You have many others that you can use though. So if we do collection 1A, I don't recognize this account and I need for you to remove it. I'm aware that section 609 states that you're required to send me the copies of documentation that I filled out. You don't have the signed contract, please delete this account. Now let's say that we're going to round 2. you didn't furnish the signed contract, delete this unverified account. So as you can see, every single dispute reason that I use has has what I'm disputing, obviously. It has the action, justifier, and the reason. Okay, so let's say that we're disputing, once again, capital 1, 517 805. First date of delinquency is wrong. And then you're going to put the date. And you're going to ask for them to remove it. All right. Or you can use a long one. Date last paid shows multiple dates, and you're going to state the dates. And this makes it look like I paid when I didn't, and didn't when I paid. How is that possible? How can there be years between bureaus? You need to remove this account immediately for inaccuracy. Now, let's say that the monthly payment is reported on the charge-off. This account reports a monthly payment on a closed account, delete for inaccuracy. You would obviously go in and you would put monthly payment of X amount, and then it already says delete for inaccuracy. So you're telling them the action, the justifier, and the reason, right? Let's say you're disputing a late payment. I'd like for you to remove any and all lates on this account because they are inaccurate, right? So you would go and put where it says any and all lates, you would change that to whatever the late payments are, okay? So you understand where I'm going with this? These are just examples of dispute reasons that you can use because I'm trying to explain to you that it's not just unverified account. You need to verify this account. You need to remove this because this is wrong. You need to explain to them the action, justifier, and the reason because there is a formula to doing this. You need to print out the worksheet and you need to use it. All right, so let's say that we're doing a bankruptcy. This account needs to be removed and I need to correct that because the court name and filing date are inaccurate. The court name must report the city and state, delete for inaccuracy. Let's say that it's next round. This account must be removed immediately due to the fact that I've pointed out the exact reason for removal and it's still listed inaccurately. How can you verify as accurate? Inaccurate information. Delete immediately. And you would go in and you would put whatever they're reporting. So, if they're only putting United States bankruptcy or U.S. bankruptcy, they didn't put the city and state. Or there's 3 different filing dates. Whatever it is, you need to list it because remember, we need the creditor name and the account number, the part of the account that's being disputed. Why is it inaccurate? What outcome are you seeking? Put it all together, and that's going to create your dispute reason. And that's why I created the plug and print, okay? So if you have any questions about this, please let me know. If you would like a couple more examples, please let me know. If this doesn't make sense to you, please let me know, okay? If there is another video that you would like to access, please let me know and I will create it for you. Now, if this is all too much for you, if you don't understand why there's a formula, if you're not, getting the results that you would like, or you've already sent in too many rounds and you think that you're about to throw in the towel, then you can contact me and I will take over for you if it is a good fit. What does a good fit mean? It means that you have realistic expectations, that you don't think that this is, something that can be done overnight, that I fit what you are looking for, that, you understand that this is a 6 to 9 month process, depending on what you have, that, you don't think that you know more than me, because if you think that you know more than me, then you shouldn't be contacting me. So there's a bunch of different things that we need to figure out together, but the entire point is that if you need help, then I am the one that is going to be the best option for it, because I can guarantee you nobody does what I do. Every single company out there is going to do something that can be replicated. What I do cannot be replicated, okay? I dispute everything, every round with everybody using absolutely no templates. Nobody else does that. Nobody gets the results that I do legally and permanently, all right? So it sounds like if you want to fight forest fires, so if you need help, that's fine. Contact me, schedule a free call, and I will see what I can do for you. You can also book me for, I believe it's 15 or 20 minutes on a video call. It's $49, right? That is it. If you want to book that video call, you can do so by on this platform, the webinar platform. There is a button somewhere that says meet with Kristen or book with Kristen, okay? So anywho, I will see you guys later. Thank you for being here with me, and make sure to access the links in this post. All right, guys, bye.